It's targeted at me, it's what I want. When you do grassroots stuff, you're going to a much broader audience. That being said, it can be effective if you're in the right place, if you're operating very closely on that one-to-one platform. Hey, our friends in Strange Mistress asked us if the oversaturation of social media has devalued grassroots marketing, and they feel kind of sponsored ads are pretty essential now. That's a really good question. I think that, yeah. I think that we're at a point now where this is a lot more real than this. Here's the thing, okay? It's not the oversaturation of social media in general, because social media is just a word for the internet now, because that's how most people engage with the internet, is they're either on Google or they're on social media, right? Or YouTube, which is social media in my eyes. The thing that's happening now, right, is that even if, let's say, you get a billboard, okay? Motherfucker, are you looking at billboards when you're sitting in the passenger seat, or are you looking at your fucking phone? Hell, most of the people driving are looking at their phone. We suddenly have something in our hands that's way more interesting than me fucking looking down my street and I can see an ad for like the upcoming Zed and Katy Perry show. Like, do you think that's really gonna impact me as much as an ad about a black metal show specifically that I like, that I want to go to, in my phone showing up every couple days? I don't fucking know. I'm probably a lot more likely to do that, not just because of who I am as a black metal fan versus a Katy Perry fan, but because of it's targeted at me, it's what I want. When you do grassroots stuff, you're going to a much broader audience. That being said, it can be effective if you're in the right place, if you're operating very closely on that one-to-one platform. My friends in Eye of the Destroyer do a great job of like passing out demos at shows and stuff, old school style, and making this one-to-many world feel one-to-one, right? But like at the end of the day, like, think about it this way. When you buy something, are you buying it because you saw an advertisement in the subway or because you learned about it via social media? When you buy something, are you doing it because there was an ad on TV? Like, 90% of you motherfuckers don't watch TV outside of sports. Probably even higher, given that I have a pretty young demographic. Y'all watch Netflix, which is fine. I watch Netflix. So, grassroots marketing, like, how do you even do that without social media? Like, oh, some guy gave me a flyer at a show that may or may not be relevant to me? Like, I appreciate that value, and there's definitely places where flyering still definitely works, especially where you have a smaller, more tight-knit scene, you know? But, like, at the end of the day, motherfuckers aren't trying to learn about things from flyers. They're gonna look online where things are compiled and put together. Because guess what? That's how we interact and learn about things now. Again, how do you learn about content? And then think about how you act on that. Don't act on how you want it to be. That's a huge issue people have, especially when I tell them to shift away from kind of street team stuff to a more digital approach, right? Is you're not marketing the way you want to market. You need to market the way that fucking works, motherfucker. Like, it's really not more complicated than that. These things don't work anymore because they're not where the attention is anymore. These things don't work anymore because people are paying attention to their phones. They're not paying attention to the ad that is in a magazine, because you're not reading magazines anymore. You're reading blogs, and maybe that blog has some ads, but do you know what the fucking click-through rate on those blogs is? Very, very low. But even that works, because here's how they justify it, and I get it. There's something called the advertising rule of sevens, which says you need to see something 7 times before you act on it. This is why I talk about putting out a lot of content. You're able to impact people on a much higher scale. You know, people say all the time, like, hey man, if I post 1 time a week, I'll get 200 reactions, whereas when I post 10 times a week, each of those posts only gets, 50 likes. Yeah, dumbass. Fucking do some math. Me doing 10 posts a week getting 50 likes each is 500. You posting once a week, sure, you got a lot of clicks, but that's 200 interactions. And like, the thing is, my 10 posts show up again and again and again and again. Your 1 post is going to show up for a bunch of people once. It's really not more complicated than that. And yet people choose to overthink this time and time and time again. So, all I'm trying to say here, man, is think about how you learn about things, how you find out about the hip new thing, how you find out about the next step, the next place content is going, and then go do that. And when you make it more specific and when you make it more targeted, you grow. And this is where you can take a lot of that street team ethos and bring it to the next level, because there's huge value to face-to-face, especially if you've got like a charismatic band member talking to everyone at merch, shaking hands with everyone. My friends in Dreadnought did a great job of this. All of them are very nice people, and even though they might play a show to 20 people, they'd go and make friends with all 20 of those people, ensuring they'd come back the next time. You want to increase your audience retention rate, right? That's where street teams can come in, when you have direct interaction at an immediately relevant place. But getting to those immediately relevant places is hard, because like it's hard to scale the amount of shows you can play in a city in a month without it being dumb and getting made fun of and pissing off promoters, right? It's hard to scale those things, but you need to be engaging. And guess what? You can engage a lot more rapidly on social media than you can engage at a show. There's a lot of value to engaging at a show. You should go to a lot of shows to engage and meet people, absolutely. But guess what? The digital world is where we're all spending a hell of a lot more time. You know, you're probably spending, if you're a heavy show goer, you're going to 3 shows a week, that's like 15 hours a week at a show. You're probably spending fucking 30, 40 hours with some form of social media open every week. The average amount of time we spend on social media every day is like 6 hours or something shit. And that's like everyone, not just the heavy show goers. You really got to use that as your jumping off point. Where are the people? Where do I interact with them? And then grow from there. And that's going to be a lot more effective of a result. So yeah, you need a blended approach. Yeah, it's drowned out because digital is where we spend all our time these days. Simple as that.